bum 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 bum. Ba-da bum bum bum. Ba-da dun dun dun. Da-da dun dun dun. Ba-da dun bum bum ba-da bum ba-da bum ba bum bum ba-da bum ba-da bum ba bum. Bum ba-da bum ba-da bum ba 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 ba. Ba-da-bum-bum-bum. What's up, Internet? What's going on? How's everybody doing today? Hopefully it is a glorious May day, the 1st, of which I just realized I'm not sure. What does May Day stand for? May Day. International Workers' Day, right? May Day is a public holiday usually celebrated on the 1st of May. It is an ancient Northern Hemisphere spring festival and traditional spring holiday in many cultures. Huh. Well, all right. There you go. People getting ready for spring, even though it's not the, I was going to say equinox, but that's not right. What's that called? Solstice, right? Is it spring? What's the first day of spring? First day of spring already came. First day of spring. Yeah, March 20th. So that was a while ago. June 21st. So this is like the middle. So I guess because March 20th to June 21st is spring, so May the 1st would be like right in the middle. Okay. So I guess maybe a celebration for the middle of spring. Everyone's getting excited. Everyone's getting their garden together and their garden vlog thing, right? Garden vlogs? When are those going to happen? I don't know. Got aloe vera in the background. No, that's hand sanitizer. Oh, it's aloe vera. Huh, was right the first time. Let's see. Nebraska says, as per usual, the stream still broken on the Android app. Noticed I can watch your cell phone streams fine, though. That is super weird because I have the Android app and I watch all sorts of live streams all the time. Matter of fact, I was watching DSLR shooter. I was watching one of his live streams just a little while ago, and Joe Rogan actually doesn't live stream anymore, which I find to be interesting, but I'm definitely going to have to delve into why that is, because it seems to be a mystery every time I pop on there. Angry React says, warm and windy today over in Ohio. Would have been a great day to fly a kite if mine wasn't broken. Yeah, it's actually, it's warm and windy here today, too, also. Western Washington is warm and windy. Probably 65 degrees, something like that. A little breezy. Wind blowing around out there. Got a $5 super chat from the Fish Tank Barn for the AGA Coffee Fund. Sorry I couldn't make it out. Oh, well, I guess since we got that AGA super chat there, let's talk about that a little bit. I will not be attending AGA tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday the 2nd of May. So I will be there on Friday, and I will be there on Saturday. What exactly... I got dirt in my hair. What exactly that is going to be time-wise, I'm uncertain yet, but I will be there with the Aquarium Co-op booth, and definitely hanging around, and there are a bunch of people coming into town, so I'm going to see what I'm going to do as far as people coming into town. No one has really emailed me or called me or messaged me other than people from the co-op, so I kind of know what's going on there, but haven't really heard from anybody else. So what's going to happen with the AGA? I don't know. But I know Barbara Jackson's flying into town. I'm pretty excited to meet her, and hopefully we can hang out in between the events and stuff. The AGA has kind of turned into a strange event at this point because lo and behold, I don't think anybody realized that they were going to limit the tickets so tightly, as far as the events and stuff go. So the events are pretty limited. I think it's up to about 250 people. So, I'm not going to dedicate an extraordinary amount of time. So I'm not going to go on Thursday, and I'm probably not going to show up on Sunday unless Vicky and Olivia really want to go up there for the for the auction. So kind of dialing my time back. I have a whole long work day ahead of me tomorrow. So I will be way far away from where the convention is, and I'll be painting. How do I explain that? I'll be painting a warehouse tomorrow. So I will not, I'll have Olivia with me, not while I'm painting. She'll be at Grandma's house. But I'll be working the whole entire day to do that, and then head back with the baby. So heading back with the baby kind of means I don't really have any time to stop or say hi or do anything like that. So that's the AGA schedule. I am excited to definitely spend some time. I know some of our Oregon friends are coming up. Actually, Ashley and Andrew said that they're coming up, so I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see some of the Oregon people. So I guess some people have messaged me. I know Barbara's coming. I know some of the Oregon people are coming, and but other than that, what's my excitement? I don't really know. I don't really know who else is showing up or what's going on. So I might come Sunday. Like I said, I might show up on Sunday for the auction thing. The auctions around here are always pretty darn good. So there's a pretty big a lot of people doing aquaculture and stuff like that, and so that's pretty exciting. And so I bet I bet what's going to be in the auction is going to be pretty good. So, I don't know. I'll see what's happening with the Sunday thing, but we still haven't seen Avengers yet, so we have early morning tickets to be able to go see the Avengers on Sunday. And as you guys know, we're always having to have a sitter because of Olivia. She can't just be, this little peanut right here can't be just hanging around by herself. She's too little. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know what to do yet. She just knows to stick her tongue out. That's pretty much all she's got going on at this point. I'll just leave her up there. I like seeing my daughter. She's awesome. So that's what's going on with AGA. If you guys noticed, there wasn't a show on Monday, and I did sign out on Friday on kind of a down note, and I very much 100% appreciate everybody that kind of chimed in and just let me know that everything's going to be all right. A lot of people have been telling me not to spread myself too thin. Don't try to take on too much stuff to do. Although I just have a lot of stuff to do, and that's just kind of reality. You guys know that I do have some pretty big plans of what to do or what we could be doing. And I think an example of like one of the reasons I get stressed out, even though it shouldn't, it shouldn't stress me out, and it shouldn't, kind of put me in a funk or anything like that, is that, a day like today, the Patreon goes way down. If you guys don't know what Patreon is, that's how we're trying to fund all these projects that we're trying to get rolling, like the Makerspace, which the Makerspace is just kind of on hold right now because I can't afford to do it. So, I could afford to do it really cheaply and crappily, and then people wouldn't even be able to really come to it. So, kind of putting that on the back burner right now. Everything is, all the properties that I've been able to find are either really ghetto, and I mean like syringe on the ground outside kind of ghetto, and then or they're just pretty expensive, and a day like today, like the Patreon goes way down. A lot of people on Patreon have kind of walked away and stuff, which is fine. That's just the nature of things. They go like this, they go up and down. It's like the waves, it's like the tide comes in, tide goes out. And that's just kind of reality, but not to say that my value is based on that. It's just hard to go like, oh man, like, 20 people withdrew support. You know what I mean? Like it's, I don't know. I'm not to say that, like I said, I'm not like valuing I'm not placing all my value in life on stuff like that, but it's just disheartening. And, I always just feel like, man, we're going to just keep going. We're going to keep going. Like, oh, no, don't. And, that's just how it is sometimes. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, and that's just life. And but things are coming along. I did post something that was being worked on Monday. I did have to excavate a bunch of dirt and stuff like that here at the property for multiple reasons. We have kind of a slight grade drainage issue here, and we got a bunch of bids to get some concrete work done here. Vicky got her year-end bonus and wanted to kind of work on a project, and then we got the bid numbers, and it's like, we cannot even remotely afford to do that. So, I'm basically, any spare time, I'm digging a hole and getting things laid out, which will include the pond work and stuff like that, which was already on my schedule to get going. So that's just, one of the things that it's just another thing that I'm going to have to do, and it's just ongoing. So I can't really hate on it too much. Gary Duncan wonders, I find it interesting you use the Fluval 3.0 light at 30% on red and white lighting. I just used the Phoenix Fuge Ray Planted Plus, which is only true red, 460 nanometers and white light, and save a bunch of money. Feel free to buy Phoenix products if you like. I don't hate on Phoenix products or anything like that. I spend my money where I like to spend my money, and, buying cheap lights is a monumental waste of money, in my opinion. You could do whatever you like. If you want to use Phoenix lights, they grow plants. They grow plants for sure. They don't have a wireless app. They aren't waterproof. They don't have the intensity of the Fluval 3.0s. Yeah, they are cheaper. Sure, they are. I drive a crappier car, and that offsets my cost. How about that? I bought a 20-year-old used truck instead of, like taking out a loan for a truck. I resell all my old equipment and use that to put towards stuff. So, it is what it is. People can put their money where they want, and if you want to support Phoenix, then support Phoenix. I like to support Fluval because I like their product better. So I just save up some money and utilize those. I just think they're a better product. I think along that same lines, some people eat at McDonald's. I don't. I buy food. Most everything that I eat. Like sometimes I eat out. Like I went to teriyaki yesterday. With the co-op guys, with Corey and Randy. And, we went out there and we had teriyaki. I had rice and meat and vegetables. It was good. But most of the food that I have, I cook I cook dinner for my family as much as I can, which is most nights that I'm here. I make my own lunch. Vicky and I, we bulk shop and stuff like that. So, not to criticize other people, but, feel free to do what you like. I do what I like. Ryan Thilmay is wondering what I think about Beamsworks planted lights. I used to have some Beamsworks reef lights, and I'm not 100% happy with their performance, and I've been using the Fluval 3.0 reef lights since I got back from Inner Zoo. So I think I've been just hammering those things for about, maybe it was like 2 months after I got back from Inner Zoo. So I've been rocking those things for about 7, 8 months, maybe something like that. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the timeline, but I've been running those on the reef, and I've been pretty happy with them. Is their intensity like through the roof? As far as reef lighting goes, no. But all of the upsides with them that I mentioned earlier have been turning out quite well. So, my personal problem with Fuge Rays is their color temperature. They sit at 7,000 K, and their spectrum is not where I like it. Fluvols are basically spot on where I want my color spectrum and control. Yeah, that's one of those. That's one of the big things that one of the big things that I like about the Fluvol lights is they're fully adjustable. Like I can move, the blue spectrum. I can move white light, blue light, red light. They're all simply labeled, but I can change the spectrum to what I want. I agree with that, Bentley. I kind of missed on that part, but they have all the independent channels to be able to run the lights exactly how you want. New Mexico got some pearlweed from Aquarium Co-op. Can you discuss how to plant it? Their website suggests leaving it in the pot. I am confused. Corey recommends to leave it in the pot. That is not how I do it. I recommend you to get yourself some of these right here, which we'll be messing with during the tutorial part of the video today, which we're going to get to pretty soon here. 'Cause I don't see like any super chats or anything I got to get to, so we're probably going to get to the tutorial part here real quick. Let's see. So Corey says he likes to leave it in the pot. I don't like to leave it in the pot. I don't want to put that rock wool in my tank if I don't have to. There's often a lot of fertilizers in the rock wool and stuff that I don't want to add in there. But with pearlweed, I find it 100% better if you are to individually take each little stem, get it into the tweezle twazzles. One stem, get the next stem, get the next stem, get the next stem, plant them in there, and go that way, and just put them maybe a little less than a centimeter apart, and just keep going and just fill in that area. And it takes more time, takes a little bit of time, but I've always found that to be a way superior method than to just sticking the pot in there. Philip's got a quick question. Any tips for dealing with cyanobacteria? My tank is fighting off an outbreak, and I think it's due to my nitrates. Dropped from 20 to 0 in 2 days. Cyanobacteria is problematic. It's 100% problematic. I would almost even look into... the first thing that you're going to have to do is definitely start cycling through some water changes. Suck out what you can. If you have like, a vinyl hose or whatever, one of those pythons, the cleaner, dealy bob, get one of those, and then it's much better to go that route, and then you're able to hold on, I'm about to knock something over here. Hold on. There we go. If you clean some of that out in a water change, and then just start doing some I'd probably do 20% water change, 25%, every other day, and just keep removing what you can with the cyano. And here's what's funny with the tweezle twazzles: you can use them to itch your ear while you're live on the internet. That you're on the internet, it lasts forever. It's uploaded, and you guys can catch me scratching my ears with my dirty tweezers. That's one thing I would like to remind. I would always like to remind people out there that, like, this is live and then this is uploaded forever. I saw some guy, somebody was commenting on one of my older videos. I think it was, 300 episodes ago or something like that. And it was like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I did misspeak. I do misspeak sometimes. I do. It is not the easiest thing to necessarily be live on the internet and it be immortalized forever. Sometimes I screw up, but there's no need to just have a bad attitude, That's no fun. New Mexico says, on the follow-ups, the pearlweed is super tiny and that rock wool seems difficult to remove. Yeah, it does take a minute. So just be patient, and get them out of there. Sometimes you have like 3 or 4 of the little stems of pearlweed, and just plant those together. And you're like, I'm not going any farther than that, you know. So it doesn't need to be specifically one. I'm just saying I typically would get it down to one, or just a, you know, one stem that has a couple of offshoots on it, you know. And like I said, sometimes I get 3 or 4, and just like, I'm getting frustrated with this, and just start stuffing more of them in there. You know, I never claim to have some kind of perfection, but I find that to be the best method of planting that. A Pro Weed, HC, any of that stuff, we'll go that route. Candy overalls with a link to the Fluval 3.0 there. There we go. As a quick reminder, that I was just talking about the Fluval 3.0. Big shout out to the Aquarium Co-op, whom I mentioned earlier, having gone to lunch, and how we're going to the AGA. He's a big sponsor of the AGA this year, and probably most years. They are our affiliate sponsor, so if you do feel like you want to, be supporting this channel and maybe supporting one of our sponsors, you can buy through the buy some of the stuff that we talk about today through the links, like these Tweezle Twazzles or the Fluval 3.0s if you are interested in them. And yeah, full disclosure, we do get a kickback. Supports this, supports our sponsor, blah blah blah. You know, Aquarium Co-op pretty much just has all the stuff you could possibly need, from food to lights to plants and all that kind of stuff. You can just get it there, and why not? Why not support the little guy, right? My fish laugh at me when I attempt to use the tweezers from Kiwi. Yes. Believe you me, I have not. So hold on, how do I rephrase this? I have definitely been super frustrated with tweezers and planting plants before. I've been there. Oh no, I forgot my rock. I brought everything in here to do this tutorial. I glued a chunk of driftwood to a rock. It's all the way out in the fish room. I don't think we're gonna be able to go get it. I don't have any background music or anything I can play. Considering just about everything gets copyright infringement these days if you play music. I'd like to remind people of that. I don't know if you guys know how YouTube works, but like, so that the AdSense payment that you get nowadays, what they're doing is everybody just claims that that's their music, and they want the money that you were going to make. And it's stupid, because the default on it is that if you put a claim, the default is that the person putting in the claim is correct. So they don't even really wait. They just go, yep, we're going to give it to the person who claimed it. Pretty odd. You're just guilty before proven innocent, which is a lot of fun. And I honestly just stopped fighting it. I honestly just stopped fighting against it and was just like, if you want the dollar, just have the dollar, you know. Maybe someday the channel will be big enough that I'll just hire somebody to battle against it. But I don't know. Seems like a waste of time. You know, when like people could join, you know, people could just hit that join button and you'd support every channel by joining more than you ever would anyhow. So, I don't know. All right. Well, let's get to the tutorial. I'm not sure what I put in as the title today. Aquascape Decor Building. Well, that is a really weird title. I don't know why I worded it like that. That's very weird. But, you know, all the little parts that go into your aquascape, people constantly ask me how to build those, like the display parts. How do you put the driftwood together? How do you put the plants on the driftwood? What are you doing with these plants? What's happening here? What's going on there? And let's see what happens when I turn this light on. Blinded by the light, wrapped up like a deuce, another roller in the night. We can't sing the version that makes fun of that song, because it's, you guys, it's goofy. All right, so let's go. Yeah, I like myself being up here in the corner. Okay, so first things first, what do we got here? This right here is an unopened bag of the sticks and pieces and things that you can get at the Aquarium Co-op, and I got this one a while ago, and I haven't even opened it up yet. I got this one because, well, actually, I got this one because I needed some, because I'm working on a big project that you guys will get to see eventually. I bought a bunch of bags, and then, or I got a bunch of bags, and then Corey realized that they're not going to be selling these anymore. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be able to sell these anymore because they don't have them. So he's not going to be able to import this. So once they run out, they out, because he's not going to import this because, and I didn't realize this. I just thought that like he was getting it from a place that was into making these, right? Into these bags of all of the cool little tiny driftwood pieces. As it turns out, what those guys do is that they get the big driftwood pieces and then they trim these parts off so that they can ship them properly. You know what I'm saying? So like, so that they can sell them as like a 24-inch piece of driftwood. They cut these parts off. Otherwise they'd be like, oh, it's a 32-inch piece of driftwood, and they'll have to sell it for more, right? So they're running out because they just basically use these. They just used these, and they just had a big pile of these, and they weren't selling them. And when Corey was in China, he was like, "What are you doing with those?" And they're like, "Yeah, I don't know, just throw them away." And he was like, we could bag those up. Those are awesome. And they're like, oh, you want to buy those? Which, of course, he didn't get them for free. They're like, they didn't realize that they could have been selling them. Which is wholly hilarious, really, when you get down to it. But these are all the little tiny pieces. These won't last super long in your aquarium. They'll probably last a year, somewhere around there. But all these little pieces are the ones that I like to mess around with and make stuff out of. I mean, they're even bendy. You know what I mean? Like, they've even got a good amount of, you can bend them around and stick them to stuff. Obviously, there are some larger ones in here that aren't so bendy, like this one. But, of course, when I want to make a thing, this is what I do. I kind of go through here, a bag of all the pieces, like this. Well, these days it's a lot easier these days because like I don't have to go find a store that has a pile of twigs or do anything else like that. Like I've already got it like ready to go, because I can just buy a bag from Corey because he's smart and able to pick through, and then we can make a thing. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, we got our tweezle twazzles here, right? We got our tweezle twazzles, and we got our super cheapo scissors. These are just regular old run-of-the-mill aquascaping scissors. Not a fancy edge on them or anything like that. I wonder if I can... Well, I can bump the camera, but I can't force it to focus. I bet minimum focus is like right here. Yep, that looks about right. Nothing special about these ones. They just happen to be black, and that's because I couldn't find my silver ones that match. So, not a big deal. I don't have any fancy aquascaping tools other than the Aqua Vitro ones I got, and then I found out that they're not supposed to sell the Aqua Vitro ones online. So, the other ones that I ordered all just kind of disappeared. Like, Amazon never delivered them, and I think somebody figured out whoever was selling them on Amazon wasn't supposed to be selling them. Oh, we lost a Nana Petite leaf. Oh, drag. Now, the glue that I like to use is this glue right here. Let me go over here to the arrow, right? Which is the Rapid Fuse by DAP, which is an all-purpose adhesive gel type super glue, basically. So the thing that you're looking for when you're going to find whatever kind of super glue you want to use, you want gel type, which just means it's not runny like water. It's not like this water over here. And you're looking for, and I have to read it because cyanoacrylate is what you're looking for as the main ingredient. Now, the reason for that is that once, so cyanoacrylate, right, is water activated, so it will dry super fast under the water because the water will activate it. Most people think like, oh, I'm going to blow some air on it. Turns out water activates it. Moisture is what activates it, and that's what makes it dry faster. So if you get it under the water, it'll dry, and then once it's cured, which this one actually sets in 30 seconds and dries, not much, doesn't take much longer than that to dry. I think about 5 minutes or something like that. But you can put it under the water, and it's just going to start drying and curing faster because it, it's activated by the water. So the water will make it go quicker. See what I'm saying? And then after that, it doesn't leach anything into the water. It just it's just inert after that. It's basically, like the glue on your acrylic aquarium. You don't ever think about that like poisoning the water or the acrylic. I find these right here to be super helpful. These are actually, I think what they're considered to be is a jeweler's snips, right? So these are just a little snips, and these are the super cheap Craftsman ones. I think I went to Lowe's, and I think these were like $3, and you can see the little thing is like falling out here that holds them apart. I think these were like $3, and so I don't waste a lot of money on stuff like this. Then of course I got some scissors, and these are just Husky brand. I just buy them at Home Depot. Like $5 maybe, something like that. So nothing fancy, and this is just a tub that is probably the most expensive thing on the table here, which is some Anubias Nana Petite. Now, when we're dealing with like a rhizome plant, I think, or how do you say it, rhizomette or something like that, people are often confused what's going on with the plant. And I understand where you're coming from, because there was a point in time where I was super confused also. And so let's see what we can do here. I wonder if I can zoom in. Whoa, we zooming in, bros. Okay, so let me use the arrow. I'm just going to hold this still. And let me try to get a little light on here a little bit better. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's identify the parts of the plant. Now, this top part right here is the leaf, which is pretty obvious. I think most people can recognize leaves, and most people can recognize roots. So the roots are the hang down parts, the leaves are the reach up part, right? Now, this part right here in the middle where everything is growing off of, or at the in between the roots, in between the leaves, this part is growing laterally, and that means, from side to side, against wherever it is. Oftentimes people are confused with Anubias because they're like, oh, it wants to grow along the substrate. No, it doesn't necessarily want to grow along the substrate. It's just that this rhizome is growing side to side. So if you have it flat like this, it's growing side to side, right? So if you have it flat, hold on, keep getting my hand in the way. So if you have it flat against the substrate, it'll grow side to side like that. But if you had it like going vertically on a piece of wood, let me find a piece of wood here. So let's say you glued it to the piece of wood and you stuck it in there going up, then it'd be growing up and down, wouldn't it? It wouldn't like force itself to grow side to side. Oh, one of my little plants got out of the water there. My sticks and leaves are going crazy here. Where was I at? Okay, right here. So we have an old leaf. We're going to have to contend with that. We'll have to check that out. But this part right here is the rhizome, this thing that's growing side to side and whatnot. That's the thing that you're looking to identify and to be able to see what's going on. As you can see right here, we actually have a split right here of the rhizome. So where the rhizome is redirecting and sending out basically a lateral shoot here, we can take something like an X-Acto blade and stick it right in there, and to try to not cut your own finger. Don't cut your fingers off, guys. Safety second, production first, right? So we can actually use an X-Acto blade on this tiny, tiny, tiny little piece right here. And we can actually just pop that right out of there. And we got ourselves a whole new plant. That right there will become its own plant. It has enough rhizome, it has roots, it has some leaves. It will continue to grow and continue to go. So we got that little buddy. We'll put that one in there. Let's try to go back. And then we're going to keep inspecting and seeing what's going on. So we've got down here at the base, we've got these little pieces right here. Let me see if we can't focus. Oh, there we go. Now it's focusing. So this is the main body of the rhizome right here. We've got this part, and this part, which are shooting off these little offshoots right here. We can actually, with Anubias, cut right here, and right here. So let me demonstrate that with these little jeweler snips, which I find to be fairly helpful in doing, you know, rhizome plants like this. Whoa, let's get it into camera. Boom, right? So now we've got this little piece right here, which actually can be continued to be split also. Now, it being so small, I probably would only cut this into one. I'm going to probably just split this into two, but I think technically I could definitely get 3 out of this. But it just being so small, I think I'm going to end up cutting it wrong. But you can see right here, we got this little plant, which is out of focus again. I don't have a cool guy camera here, you guys. I have to use this crazy camera that I'm using right now. Let me see. Let me zoom out. Focus. All right, there we go. So this is actually like, this will actually become 2. This would actually become 2 Anubias right here. If it would focus. No? Don't want focus? Where's my focus? Come on now. Whoa. Is that picture in picture? Oh, that's weird. Well, stop messing with that. Hold on. Focus. There. At least it's in focus now. Okay. So this would actually turn into 2 different Anubias, right? And, you know, like I said, I'm not going to cut it because each one is on either side. And if I cut it right down the middle, I might have a good chance of accidentally killing it, which I don't want to do because, as you guys know, fairly expensive little plant. But this one right here, okay, we've got a little roots hanging off. And this one would actually become 3 or 4. We have all these little plantlet offshoots, little plantlets coming off of the rhizome there. And what's really cool about this is that this will actually become 4 later on. But I can actually just maintain it like this. Over time, it will eventually send off all those side shoots. And will work out really well to propagate some more in the future. Now, all your plants like this, I do have a spray bottle, but the problem is that I think if I was spraying water all over my desk here with cameras and stuff, I think that would have led to a problem. Now, gluing this, I'm going to show you guys how to glue this real quick, and I'll probably do a more detailed video of this in the future. That I'll actually make sure that everything's like super in focus. I'm realizing the downside of, you know, not having the studio in the basement finished yet, but this is also helping me in plan for the future. But when it comes to gluing, a little tiny plant like this, right? I got this little bit of rhizome, and it's going to send off some little offshoots. So this piece where I just cut the rhizome right there, that part of the rhizome will never really, will never really grow. It won't grow anything from there. Just these little offshoots coming off of the side is where the plant's going to grow from now. Now, with any kind of glue type, super glue type glue, just a little dab will do you. It definitely is one of those times where, oh, did I hit the camera? I did. This is definitely one of those times where just a little bit less is more. Don't go totally crazy. But always, when you're going ahead to glue, just pre-wet the wood. You know, it makes my life way easier. You guys will notice that I'm planting this way down at the bottom, but I am leaving a little bit of it, you know, something that I can stick into the substrate or I can glue to a rock or something like that. I'm definitely leaving enough for that, but I'm gluing it down at the bottom because Anubias, as much as we want it to be the top part of the tree and stuff like that, it's not a great plant for being up at the top really close to the lights. So if you have it up really close to the lights and stuff like that, it's just not going to work out well. It's going to get a lot of algae on it, has a tendency to get burned by the lights, which means it's not going to grow to its real potential and stuff like that. It doesn't work very well, but also keep in mind that it grows upwards. It's going to grow upward and continue to reach upward. So if you start it out growing from the top, it's going to grow up towards the top and just keep getting closer to the lights and stuff like that. Whereas if you plant it down at the bottom, if you glue it down here at the bottom of this piece of wood, it'll grow upwards and then fill in some of that space heading up towards the top of the tank. And I think I was gluing this a little bit weird because I was kind of talking to you guys. But as you can see, I've got it on there. I just glued that little piece of the rhizome directly to the side of this piece of driftwood so that you're able to, because like I said earlier, that part of the rhizome is not going to grow anything out of it. Just these stock, where these offshoots are growing, that's where it's going to grow out of. It's going to keep heading up out that way. Nothing where I clipped it, where I cut it, which is the important part, is like where I cut it, nothing's going to grow from where I specifically cut it. It's not that no cut will never grow anything ever. It's the location of where you cut it. Now, this chunk of Nana Petite, I figured I'd go with the same plant that I just did a focus video on, mainly because I was like, oh, if people have just seen the focus video, like, maybe they'll want to tune in for this. Like a little more long format, something like that, right? Okay, let me move that driftwood over there. Let me move this over there. I know the lighting here, I have like a million lights on, but this old camera just cannot handle it. It's just pulling like auto white balance. Luckily, I have a replacement for it. I just haven't been able to wire it in because the new studio is not ready yet. This Nana Petite right here would be really confusing to a lot of people, I think. This one I've been growing for a few years. You can probably pick out. There's quite a few offshoots. It has been growing for a long time, and I wonder if there is a way. Yeah, I don't know how to do it with that. I don't know how to do it with this camera. Oh, it's just so dark, you guys. I'm sorry it's so dark. I wonder how dark it is on YouTube. Let me look before I keep going here. Oh, I guess it's not as bad on YouTube. It's a little bit brighter on YouTube's end, so maybe you guys are doing fine. But this little Nana Petite has been growing for a really, really long time. And this one would be, I think, really confusing to a lot of people, and those snips are not going to be a good idea. But this little clump I got right here, all right, so we're going to trim that right there, then separate. So I never do multiple cuts without separating out each part that I cut off. It's just, I think it's the best way for my flow to not cut a bunch of things that I didn't want to cut. And it's probably a recommendation I could make to most people, to just be, you know, a little bit more cautious than maybe you think necessary. And And then you can always trim back these little roots. It's not really a big deal. You can trim those off, and I'll just throw those in that little bin right there. But as you can see, we've already got, multiple plants here just from what used to be probably smaller than this originally, and now we've got this going. I kind of just plopped it down in the back part of a tank and just kind of let it grow. Just put it in a low traffic area and just kind of let it chill. As you can see, like, this is probably one of the leaves from when I originally got it right here. Because I recall this plant being pretty burned and brown and stuff, probably. This might be the one I'm thinking of. Might be wrong. But, this leaf right here has been around for a really long time. We're going to go ahead and trim that out and just be done with it. It's not going to harm the plant that much if we trim some of those older leaves. Probably encourage more growth anyhow. All right, so the last trim came from right there. So this next little offshoot, like we did on the piece earlier, is headed off this way. So we're actually going to trim this right here. And like I said, I'm just going to do one at a time so I don't accidentally get all crazy and trim stuff too far and accidentally, take a fairly expensive plant and, do damage to it that I don't need to do. So now we're up to 2, right? So now we're going to keep going here. And I'm just going to, always make sure that I'm kind of checking what I'm doing here. And here's a little tip for you. You can see, like, if I start to kind of pull it apart, you can see there's multiple stalks that on those like offshoots that have grown off of this one individual rhizome. It started to turn into a bunch of little rhizomes and stuff. So we've got this little plant right here. This little plantlet that's growing off of here, which is growing a little bit weird. So let's see what we got here. Now, you might not have scissors, and you'll be like, I'm never going to buy scissors, and I don't care for scissors. So let me show you this. This is the old school method. This is how we used to do it in the past because we were super concerned about trimming and cutting. We actually used to always just break them by hand. I think it was just the paranoia of how expensive they were. So, like, if you think back, probably 12 or 13 years ago or something like that, like a little plantlet like this would have been like $50, like $49.99 or something crazy like that. And the big reason for it is this, like, it's not that it's that rare. Like, you can find this plant, it's been identified, they could harvest it and stuff like that. But it grows super slowly. That's the thing. This is one of those plants that, like, unless you have people kind of aggressively trimming and growing this stuff, like, it just grows slowly. Like I said, I've probably had this plantlet right here for years. And I do recall moving it because I had put it into the 150 on the Rescape, which I think I even had this plant when I moved here from West Seattle down to Tacoma. So I'm just going to keep going old school by hand and just pulling all these little offshoots. I think we're up to 5 now. Was that 5 or 6? I'm not sure. You guys will let me know. And then we got another one right here, which as I showed you guys earlier, you can definitely do this with scissors if you're not comfortable really kind of digging in with your hands and you want to be a little more surgical with how you're doing it. But like I said, when I learned how to do this, I learned how to do it only by hand. And that's because, like, you'd be able to stick your finger in here in between the offshoots from the rhizome, and you can actually just go like this, and then you can give it a little pinch, and then you can twist it off, and you got yourself another plant. So now we're up to like 8, I think. And there's more offshoots right here, but I'm going to go ahead and utilize the energy left in this rhizome down here. I'm going to trim these kind of little funky leaves that are growing down here. I'm going to just trim those, and we're just going to utilize the energy from this remaining chunk of rhizome, and this will most likely just grow and continue to offshoot from the end right here. See how it's like, how I've got, like, an inch running up here, maybe a little longer, like inch and a half, something like that, of this rhizome with the roots on it. And then you come up here to the end, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 offshoots coming off of the end of it. All of the energy and the roots and all that kind of stuff will just continue to put nutrition up to these offshoots. And so is that 8? And then there's one more, 9. I think that was 8 or 9. I'm not sure who is keeping track. But let's go ahead and we'll glue one more piece in place now that we have the counter kind of cleared off. And we got some little tiny pieces of Anubias. Now, so let's say we got this little piece of driftwood here. Let's go, let's go like this. Give ourselves enough space to work. So you can take pliers like, there are these snips like this. Like I said, these were only like $3 or $4 from the hardware store. You can trim one of the ends like that, and you'll know that that right here is the bottom, because this top is not trimmed. It just has the natural end on it. So we'll be able to remember, like, okay, this is the bottom, this is the top. You can always trim that stuff. I'm not really liking exactly what that one's doing, so I'm going to grab a different one. Oh, yeah, this one's way cooler. Okay, so we definitely know that this is the bottom here. Probably translates pretty well in on video, right? Let's move our arrow. Let's just quiet the arrow for a second. Okay, I can move that over. So we got our little piece here, and like I said before, we just want to wet it down, and I don't have my spray bottle here because I figured I was gonna spray the mouse and a whole bunch of stuff if I try to do this with the spray bottle, which I do normally use. I just have a super generic spray bottle that I got from the hardware store. Nothing special. It's just just buy it and put water in it. You could do aquarium water if you're like super paranoid. All right, so we got this little piece here. This one might be considered a little slightly different method than the first one that we did. Because the first one that we did, we glued onto the rhizome end where we trimmed. But oftentimes when you get them from the store, they might be trimmed down like this. And you're like, yeah, I don't know, I'm not really sure like how I want to do this. But I do want it to grow in a slightly different direction. And with this piece of driftwood, it's actually going to go into the ground right here. And I'm actually going to want the greenery, right, to be growing along here and up. So because we know that the rhizome is going to keep going and growing, right, we're going to start it all the way back here, and it will just keep growing, and the leaves will end up being up above, and we'll just continue to do that. Someone is ringing my doorbell, unsure who it is. All right, so this time we'll go the other way, and we'll put a little tiny drop. Come on now. Try not to get too much of the super glue gel on there. And you just want to take that and you want to glue the side and make sure that you're not completely gluing all the roots and everything on there. And this will grow up along here. And, on a long enough timeline, it will eventually grow all the way to the end of this. How long will that be? I don't know. Does that mean I'm going to probably grow, put more pieces of Anubias onto this driftwood? Yeah, most likely, because, if I stick this in an aquarium, it's not unattractive. Like, it's attractive, but it doesn't feel done yet. You know what I mean? So, yes, I'll probably be adding more to this piece and just keep going up that one side. Stick to the one side so that when I put it in the aquarium, all of the pretty leaves will all be facing the same way. So that's hopefully a hot tip for you guys. So you'll be able to not put any onto the front. But a thought that just came to my head is that this piece of driftwood will probably deteriorate and go away by the time this Anubias even grew all the way up to the top anyhow, so we definitely don't have to worry about too much with all that. All right, back into the little tank with it, and hopefully we got a good little tutorial there, and people can understand what's happening. Suddenly I'm super close. Let's see. Hold on, let's go. Whoa. Making some space. Turning off excess lights because they're right in my eyes. So let me pop into the chat here. I'm going to scroll back and answer some questions, right? Let's see what happened. Some people tagged me right there. Oh, no, that was Mellow Moogle showing you the Amazon store. Yeah, so some of the stuff can be found on Amazon, like the glue and all that. You know. Michael Wall says, I would watch a Corvus live painting session. You know what? I did live painting sessions a long time ago, and people really didn't watch them. And one of the things with that is that you can't really like play music, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So I wish that you could. I wish that you could play music and have that work on YouTube, but you just really can't do that anymore unless you buy a bunch of licensing. So maybe at some point, once it's a little bit easier to buy licensing of like what I would consider good playlists, then maybe I'll just be able to rock out and do that kind of stuff. But I don't think that's ever really going to happen, honestly. I wish that it would, but you know, it never does. Candy has a link to the stuff at the co-op. Thank you. Let's see. Dual cam action. You definitely got to get dual cam action. Everybody does. I can't wait till I get the studio downstairs done because I'll be able to do dual and triple camera action. You know what I'm saying? Victor says, I got a good-looking, happy kid. Yeah, she's a good kid. I love her very much. And let's see, 55 minutes. Shelby Ray watched me paint. Shelby Ray has watched me paint. You know how that goes. I want to start to build my very first aquascape, and I've heard you're the man to come to. Please, may you tell me good tanks / products to help me out. Yes, we just did that for the last hour, so got a lot of plants, tutorials, and stuff like that. Unknown user, if you want to, there are links in the chat if you want to click on them. Especially if you're starting out and you're looking for products and stuff like that, definitely head over to Aquarium Co-op. Almost all the stuff on there, I would guarantee, is tested, approved, definitely going to work. Tell you whether it's a starter plant or anything like that. Lights, fertilizers, all that kind of stuff. That's kind of the specialty, and I work with those guys all the time, and they are a sponsor, so definitely check them out. Jeremy Curtis says, do you quarantine and medicate snails? Do you have to? No, I never have. I assume that they could have some kind of weird bacteria in them or something on their shell. That's one of the things that has come up, as some people have been a little bit paranoid for it. But I never have. I just never have. You know, somebody out there might be super paranoid and do that, but I don't. Jay Gallegos says, thoughts on adding a Cyno catfish to a 125-gallon Mabuna tank? Not a good idea. Let's see. I live in an area where Petco and PetSmart owns the market in northern Minnesota. Only one local fish store I try to support, but I have limited products and livestock. Any online suggestions? If you're looking for plants, go to Aquarium Co-op. If you're looking for fish and stuff like that, 100%. I could recommend what's called the Wet Spot in Portland, Oregon. I don't have any affiliation with those guys. They are just the spot to go to if you're going to order fish online, in my opinion. And I don't get any kind of money for saying that or anything like that. If I was going to order some fish online, that's where I would go. But if you are in Minnesota, Ryan Thilmany, there are so many cool fish keepers in Minnesota. Actually, Jason from JL Aqua, that reminds me, Jason is coming out. I did a tour of his fish room. Definitely check out some of the clubs in Minnesota, because I toured a bunch of fish rooms in Minnesota, and pretty much anything you're going to want to find is probably already in your state, and somebody's probably taking care of it. Michael Wall says, Joel, you should do one of these live aquascapes at a show like Aquashella. Instead of painting with a twist, you could aquascape as a group and follow your instructions. I probably will do some live tutorials someday. I have not been I've not been sponsored or asked by Aquashella or anything like that to do anything there, so don't think I'm going to show up and do it impromptu. But if they want to, let's see, Ryan and, or what's his name? Sean and George, they have my email, so they could email me, and I'll email them back. Stephen Pope says, old school tube TV converted into a fish tank. I've seen quite a few of those. I think my favorite one was actually an old Apple, like an old, was it like a Mac 1 or something like that? I can't remember what they were even called, but just an old school computer that was all-in-one computer that was converted. Dovi Dosa says, wet spot shipping is expensive, but totally worth it. Shipping fish, period, is expensive. Shipping live critters of any kind is super expensive. Daniel Landry says, any advice on ordering fish that will ship to Oahu, Hawaii? Not a lot of fish are going to be able to be imported to Oahu, so Hawaii is a pretty unique case, it being an island, and people have already screwed up the waterways there with releasing fish that should not be there and stuff like that. So I would check with the local authorities to see what's going on. But I do have some friends in Hawaii that would be cool. You know, I don't know anybody that could ship anything there. I think you have to get everything pre-checked before you can ship, you know, direct to Hawaii, which is expensive and time consuming. So I think that's probably why a lot of people don't do it. You really have to get specific on a species to make sure that they'll even let you bring it in or not. Man, Joel has what the dirt gardeners and fruit tree people call the pruning heart. He knows right where to pinch. Yeah, I just from screwing it up so many times. So hopefully that was a little tutorial to help you guys out. The Pond Life says the stream is broken for me. Well, I don't know what to do about that. I don't know. It's weird because I'm broadcasting to a whole bunch of other people and they're all fine. So I wish it was working, but it says, from all the way from Australia. Maybe that's the issue. That might be a problem. I think my VPN settings right now is that I'm broadcasting from Japan. Maybe, I don't know. That might be an issue. So it might be country to country problem. I don't know. Scroll up in the chat here and see what we got. Candy says, if you tried to order Anubias from the co-op, here it all is. Joel has it all. Actually, I've never got any Nana Petite from the co-op. I got some Cophifolia and some Nana and some Golden from there, but I've never got, this is all, I think I all had this. I've had this for a long time, so definitely been trimming it and propagating it. But it definitely is time for me to propagate, because as you guys can see, just one plant made a potential 9 plants very quickly. The only downside is that I have a lot of these that need to get done, and then it's the replanting that's the part that takes a lot of time. Gluing it to stuff, putting the new stuff in, and going that route. HDJC has a great question here. How do you remove Anubias from hardscape to move it? Manually. As long as you don't just thrash about like a wild person, you can actually just pull it away, and yes, some of the roots will remain on whatever rock or anything like that, but you can just trim it away and pull it off. As long as you're not just like putting it in a blender, it'll be fine. Just maintain the rhizomes health, and don't break the leaves off and stuff, because it takes a long time for them to grow back. So if you just gently pull it apart and get it out of there, then you'll be good to go. You'll be good to go. The 186 Element says the perfect stream tonight in New Jersey. Yeah, that's right. It's 7 o'clock there, so it's probably the sun's going down. It's still bright daylight here, so got another hour and a half of. I could probably go get some digging done on my concrete thing here. Michael Wall says, "Are there any blue aquarium plants?" Not that I know of, just blue flowered stuff. I had a hiccup with the stream, so backed out of YouTube completely and hopped back on it. It seemed to clear up. Yeah, that happens a lot. That happens to me too. So, tried becoming a member, but there was an error now, and it won't let me do it from Reaver. Well, Candy has a new link there to become a member, so hopefully you can. I really do appreciate it, you guys. You know, it's one of those things. I really want to do this makerspace. We're gonna see how that works out. I feel like I've been talking about it for a while now, so I don't mean to, like, you know, beat up everybody's eardrums with me talking about it, but it is definitely on the list, and it's something I want to do. Hopefully I can find a space for it, but we'll see how it goes. You know, like I said, I booked a bunch of stuff, and we shall see if we can pull it off. I'm going to try and see if I can find out how many, because we had more members, and I just wanted to give a shout to some of the members. Where did it go? They redid the thing here, so it's hard to find everything. Nope, it went down. Members went down. We got on, we did a live show. I probably complained about something, and somebody said, screw it. I don't want to be a member of this guy's nonsense anymore. I'm going to go do something else. Well, it was at 77, and then it went down to 76, and now it's down to 75. So that's life. Ow, my knee. My knee is really starting to hurt. But big shout out to Kieran Egan. I got your comment. The Fishy Mailman, I got your post. Work on something for you. Cody Glover's brand new to the Patreon as of the other day, and that kind of stuff too. Shout out to all that. So that's all good, right? Deborah Sanders says blue plants / flowers are very rare in nature. Yes, they certainly are. Got some Anubias that has a long leaf stems rather than bushy. Can I trim the leaves? Yeah, just be aware that you have a dead stump there. You can trim them. Just be aware. There's nothing's ever going to grow back right there ever again. The Wall Rider says, "Hey, I'm so happy. This is my first time making it to the stream. You're awesome. Much love from Germany, and I hope you have a great day." Oh, thank you very much. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning in Germany or something. What, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., something like that. I was really hoping to get out to Germany again this year, and I realized that the big shrimp competition is in like 2 weeks or something like that, and I don't have tickets booked, so probably not going to be making that. So I don't know, but I definitely hope to make it out to Germany fairly soon. I really had a good time last time I was there. It was just really nice, and a lot of cool fish keepers there, that's for sure. Dr. Wigglespank popped in to see if you've popped in and see you've been on for an hour. Hopefully it's not over, as I was hoping you might answer a question. Oh man, you might have missed your opportunity to ask a question, because who knows? You should have just asked. Ryan Faye, so I have a strange problem with algae. Will only grow in the bottom of my aquarium, but all other things mid to high level are not covered. Depends on the depth of your tank, but my guess would be excess nutrients in the substrate would probably be the issue. And the possibility of a super deep tank that the light could be getting filtered through the water column, because that's how it goes. Keith Hanshaw, any tips for a Madagascar lace? I love Madagascar lace, you guys. It's one of the big rooting plants and stuff. I've got one in the 240 right now. Tips would be good root feeder, so give it a good amount of root food, and you'll be pretty much okay. Dr. Wiggle, is fluorite a bad substrate for a Pictus catfish? I found some cool catfish, but I heard it might be bad for bottom feeders. No, it's not bad for Pictus catfish. Make sure your water quality is good, filtration's good, and fluorite will be fine with catfish or cory cats or any of that kind of stuff. Michael Wall says, is there any blue tinted Bucephalandra? Bucephalandra does have some blue and purple tinted ones. Where to get those, I don't know. You're gonna have to search around online and see if, like, Aquabit or something like that. What can you do to keep the new pieces healthy until you can attach it to its new place? That is a great question. Why crazy? Just put them in your aquarium. I'm really not. There's not really any kind of special thing to do. What I normally would do, especially with all these little tiny pieces I got right here, is that I would either attach a plant weight to the bottom of the roots right here, like just a little lead weight. Just pinch it right under the roots down here, not up here, down here, and just throw them in the tank. Just let them chill. They'll be fine as long as you keep them submerged. You can convert them to growing immersed, so emergent out of the water, which is great. They will propagate much faster that way. They'll grow much faster that way. But I would also get prepared for that situation ahead of time. Not just like, oh, I'm going to leave them out here growing out in the air and hope for the best, because they do have to be quite humid, and you can't allow them to get completely dried out. Far Aquatics, replanting of my lily seemed more difficult than I thought. Got 2 cuttings. One lasted a while. The other completely died. Now the mother plant exists but no longer has leaves. What should I do? With the lilies, just plant the bulb and it should more than likely grow back. Sometimes plants die and melt off, though, so it's just kind of a drag. Ryan Faze says, I never really thought of that as my problem. Thanks. Yeah, do a little gravel vac in there and then see what happens as time goes on. I think a lot of people kind of forget, like, we think that our fish tank is static, like our car. You know what I mean? Like, it's built, it's assembled, it's just needs an oil change every once in a while. Like, remember that our systems are alive, and the things that are going on in there is kind of telling us something. So I would definitely, with that specific situation that you got going on, I would expect to see some of it clear up from some water changes and gravel vac over time for sure. But it's alive. It's an ecosystem. It's growing. It's changing and stuff like that. So you might get away with like one gravel vac, and it might go away in like 2 weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks, just completely gone because it was enough to knock it back down into health and allow the lower plants to kind of uptake a little bit better. Why Crazy says, do they convert well back to submersed? Yes, they do fairly well. Convert back. As long as you keep them nice and humid, they'll just basically slow down. They'll just slow way down. But although it's not like they're speeding up like they're suddenly growing like a lawn in springtime or anything when you grow them immersed, Is there a good comprehensive resource for what plants can grow immersed or submerged? One of the problems is there's millions of species of plants. So comprehensive list, if you had a comprehensive list, would be like 30 dictionaries tall or something. You know what I mean? So a comprehensive list becomes very confusing. So I don't even know if a comprehensive list would be useful. Even with halophytic plants, which is one of the things I was messing with just a little while ago. I think the most recently identified number that I saw was 28,000 varietals are halophytic plants. So, it's extremely confusing to read through 20,000 different species of plants and stuff. So, I would stay away from any kind of comprehensive list. That would kind of ruin our day. Stick to kind of specific species and stuff like that, and try individual ones. Realistically, start trying some on your own and hopefully compile some information about specific plant, so the Anubias Nana Petite that I'm messing with today and on the last video is, it's a specific varietal of Barteri Nana Petite, right? So that's where especially things start to get kind of crazy. A little bit of variation in a plant changes the description on it. So, you know how it goes. Justin E says, hey, brother, hope things are good. How do I know if a plant needs more iron? Where did that little picture go? I had a picture that I was using before. I'm going to give you just like media files. There it is. I forget where it was. I think I have it in here. Let me see if I can't find that real quick. It's a good example of where to start. But I will say this, that iron is an essential component of proper growth. So, and it's generally one that's not, there's not a ton of it in everybody's water source. It's kind of rare to have actual chelated iron in, people's standard issue water source, right? Let me see. I think I have to go to a different hard drive. Renders for upload. I think that's where it is. Let me see if I can. Come on now. That's That's not the picture that I'm looking for. Oh, you guys, I think I just remembered where it was. I think it's in audio take 2. Nope. Audio samples? No. Well, I don't know. I can't find it. I thought I did. I thought I got close. You guys, but I can't find it. But a pretty standard issue picture. If you're just looking for, deficiencies in a plant, it's pretty obvious. As far as potassium, nitrogen, all that kind of jazz. It's just wherever that thing went. Let me see if I can't find it real quick. Plant let's see here. I want to give props where props are due because I didn't make this. Aquatic Plant Central made this one. But the one that I really like is the Aquathusiast one. I like the Aquathusiast one. That one is super easy. Super easy to look at. And kind of figure out exactly what's going on. And I don't think I'm going to download that and try and do anything with that at this moment. Doesn't seem like a great idea. But Aquathusiast has one. Aquascaping.ca has one. Aquatic Plant Central has one. Aquatic World Blogspot has one. It's just one of those things. Like, it's pretty easy to look up and do an image search, whether you're, potassium, magnesium, sulfur, boron, nitrogen, phosphorus. It's all pretty kind of straightforward when you look at it. Like phosphorus is like, if you're low on phosphorus, you're actually limiting one of the uptake, and your plants will turn super red. So people are like, oh, I want to eliminate phosphorus. You're like, okay, but it's still not the greatest thing long term. So it will turn the plants all super red and stuff like that, but you know how it goes. Callum Mace. Does Seachem Flourish Excel kill Valsneria? Probably. I don't know. I hear people say that. Never happened to me, but I've heard people say that. But I don't keep Valsneria anymore. It's a weed, super invasive plant, so I don't personally keep it for personal reasons. Same reason I don't keep milfoil. What do people call milfoil in the aquarium hobby? I forget what they call it kabamba. They call milfoil kabamba in the aquarium hobby. I don't keep that either. They're just personal reasons. And I forget who it was. Somebody wrote in what my great-grandpa's lawn was, and they were correct, and I'm going to give them credit. So, yeah, maybe next time I'm on, I'm going to give them credit. All right, guys, I got to roll. My baby is going bonkers in the background, and I got to go find out what's going on with her. I want to give a shout-out to Big D Smoke, Rum Bust, The Fish Tank Barn, and Justin E for your super chats today. No new Patreons during the show, and I don't see any new members during the show. I tried to look that up earlier, so no shout-outs to the non-new members. Oh, yeah, that pops up in the chat, too. So we shall remember that. But we get the AGA coming up, so the schedule will be a little bit weird coming up over the next till Monday or whatever. And but be sure to hit the notification bell, subscribe, all that kind of nonsense, and yeah, you keep you posted. I'll try to do my best to get events up ahead of time so you know what's happening. But have a fun Wednesday, May Day, and I'll talk to you